fire away.
After last game, you talked about how you feel really good about your offense. What do you think has allowed it to work so well for you this year?
Well, I just think we probably have more offensive weapons, on the floor when you add what AP's been able to do inside to complement Nick. What JR's been able to do at the point of attack, get into the paint. I think we've generated more fast break points this year than we have in maybe past years, and pace is a little bit quicker. And I still think there's another level we can get to our offense. We're still kind of learning how to play with each other, and I think the shooting is something that I'm confident in. We didn't shoot it as well from three last game, but our numbers across the board, if you look at field goal percentage, three-point percentage, assist to turnover ratio, all those things are in a really good spot. If we can keep that going, it'll give us a great chance.
Coach, 4 straight games for you guys basically came all the way down to the wire. How do you
Yeah.
think that's going to help the team with, like you said, still gelling, getting those clutch reps together?
Yeah, we're going to be in a lot of close games. We all know that, especially as you play high major competition. I mean, all these teams, we've just gone through a couple week stretch where we played, on the road against a team from the Big East, an ACC team and a neutral site, an SEC team on a neutral site, a Big 12 team on a neutral site. Now we get into conference play. So a lot of close games, a lot of things to learn from, things we did well, things we can do better in terms of managing a game and figuring out how to win. And, come out 2-2 is okay. Certainly we wanted to go 4-0 in that stretch, but, it's a great learning opportunity for these guys as we head into a big week with the Big Ten play.
Specifically, what are some of the things you think that you learned and that are good already, and some of the things that do need to improve as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's well known. I mean, the two areas of improvement we really have to attack are, fouling too much, putting the team on the free throw line too much, and second chance points. Really, if you look at our defensive numbers from a field goal percentage defense, 3-point percentage defense, it's very good, but the fact that we haven't been able to finish possessions with rebounds, and the fact that we've put the other teams on the line a lot, which has allowed them to get points at the free throw line, has kind of been our undoing in our 2 losses. So, and even in a couple of the games that we won, those are just areas we've really tried to concentrate on. We've watched film, we're working on it. And I think if we can clean up those 2 areas in particular, it will make us a better team.
Coach, how would you describe just the growth and confidence that you've seen in AP since when he first arrived on campus?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, we all have seen his talent. You saw it ever since he was in high school. But, coming here, getting a fresh approach, our guys have really embraced him and pushed him to be himself, where he can attack and be that guy and kind of play all over the floor. He's been an anchor for us, not only on offense, but really defensively, the way he's protecting our basket, the things he's doing in our pick and roll coverages, the pick and roll defense. So he's been a huge addition. I'm really proud of him. And I think the more he plays, the better he can get. We're only 7 games into this thing, and I think the more he's playing with our guys and the more we're understanding kind of the things he can do, I think there's another level he can get as well.
Coach, John Blackwell had 30 points against TCU. You guys held him to 8 last year in the Big Ten tournament. How do you replicate that tomorrow?
Well, he's a terrific player. Both of their guards. You look in their last 2 games, Blackwell with 30, and then the game before that, Nick Boyd 36. So those 2 guys are really dangerous offensive players. I think you have to do a good job, first and foremost, in transition. It's crazy to say that with Wisconsin, transition defense, but they've kind of made a real shift last year and even into this year in pushing the ball and trying to get early scores. And those 2 guards, specifically Blackwell, as you pointed, are guys that really like to attack in the open floor. And then I think we just have to have discipline. You have to just make things hard. You're not going to shut a guy like that out. He's too good of an offensive player, averaging 20 a game, but can you make it a little bit harder? Can you make him take some tougher shots? Can you eliminate his easy baskets and keep him off the foul line? They do a great job. I think he's shooting 8 free throws a game and shooting at a very high clip percentage-wise. So if we can eliminate his layups and free throws and make him a tough 2-point shooter in the mid-range and contested jump shots, I think we can live with the results.
Coach Angelo had a pretty good night against
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, 6 of 9 shooting on 14 points. How how helpful is it for you guys as an offense to have another
Yeah.
big wing forward who can really get the ball in the bucket?
Yeah, I was pleased with how aggressive Angelo was, attacking the basket. His ability, he's a much improved, more confident player this year than he was last year. The way he's and he can take on more contact. He's gotten stronger, so now he's getting to the basket and he's able to finish in traffic, finish against size, and it's a huge element. I mean, certainly when you play us, right, you're going to look at it and say, man, what do we do with Martinelli? What are we going to do with Page? What do we want to do with Reed and the pick and rolls and the transition situation? And that's where it gives opportunity for these other guys to really carve out how can I find a way to be, a weapon offensively and know that I'm a little bit of an afterthought, when it comes to the other team's defense. So I think Angelo's done a really good job of that, and hopefully he'll continue to get better the more he plays.
Which out of these past 7 non-conference games, especially this recent stretch, really help simulate or even just simulate some of the moments or even some of the just scenarios you're going to see kind of conference play?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think you go through the ups and downs. Right? We had a really hard-fought win at DePaul, where you win at the end, then you have a tough loss against Virginia. You got to bounce back 48 hours later and play, a tough South Carolina team after you've had a tough loss. Then you win a tough game, and now you come back, and play Oklahoma State and have another tough loss. So I think it really simulates kind of what you get in the Big Ten, the highs and lows, the ups and downs. Continue to just harp with our guys. We can't be too high when things go great, and we can't be too low when things don't go as well. You have to keep an even keel. It's a long season. There's a lot of games. But that being said, there is a sense of urgency. When you play all of these games, especially these 2 early conference games, everyone wants to get off to a good start. And having the opportunity to go on the road and play a really good team on their home floor and have a chance to get a road win, those are extremely valuable in this conference.
And Coach, you talked about getting thrown into the fire. Jake West, first year in the Big Ten, obviously, going on the road. What have you seen from him that makes you think he's ready to handle those backup point guard minutes?
Yeah, well, Jake is a tough guy. He's a competitive guy. He's feisty. He's tough. He competes. He's learning how to play the position. And that's true with any freshman point guard. But I've really been pleased with his development. I think the more he plays, he'll continue to, kind of pick and choose his spurts. He's quick and fast, but at times you got to learn when to push the ball, when to kind of set up offense. I think he's learning what that means as a point guard, but super confident in his ability to come in because of his confidence and his belief in himself that he can do the job. And when called upon, we have no hesitation to put him in there to help us.
I'm not maybe about freshman. Trey had a little bit of a quieter night against
Yeah.
What was the moment you knew you could trust Trey in this time?
Well, I just think his talent, his poise, his physicality right off the bat, it just immediately, melded well into our team. I mean, he's a terrific talent, and he's a freshman. I think sometimes even I forget about that because of his talent and because, what he looks physically. You sometimes forget he's going through this for the first time. And, I think the Oklahoma State game was one of those games. He missed a couple shots early, and I thought he got a little tentative. And he and I have talked about staying in an aggressive mindset. Even if you miss some shots, even if it's not going well, we need him to be aggressive. We need him to attack and be that guy because he's a big piece for us. Like I said, he's another guy, that can really come in and be a double-figure scorer, a rebounder, a defender for us. So we need him to play well going forward.
After the DePaul game, you mentioned wanting to get more looks and sets for Max Green and KJ Winley to get wide open threes. How do you feel like you've done with that so far, and are you looking to get some more of it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought in the last game, I think KJ got 4 looks. Max got a couple. Again, it's game by game. We're trying to utilize what those guys can bring to the game, and being able to put the ball in the basket. And, not so much, too. I mean, you can run sets, but also just an awareness from everybody when those guys are open. We need to find them, whether it be in transition, whether it be off one of Nick's post-ups and they're double teaming, or AP, and those guys are open. We got to continue to try to find those guys because they are such good shooters. And we'll continue to work, and those guys will, and we have the utmost confidence in those guys when they're out on the floor.
Gosh, I know big road matchup coming up for you and going with Passive, but you'll have your first home game in a very long time
Yeah.
this weekend. I mean, what are your expectations of that environment this Saturday?
Well, hopefully it'll be great. We need it. You guys have been around. You know what the Big Ten entails. We know what we're going to face up in Madison tomorrow night with their crowd, and we need Welsh Ryan rocking. I mean, these home games in the conference. I know finals are coming up, but it's a Saturday afternoon. No excuse for a couple hours. Take a little bit of a break for 2 hours on Saturday and come over to Welsh Ryan and let loose, because we need the support. We need our people there. We need purple in the building, and it's going to be a big game for us, and certainly gives us a better chance to win when the environment is what we know it can be in Welsh Ryan and has been the last couple of years.
Any more questions? Yeah, Coach, last year Nick was kind of sort of forced into being the primary creator as the Bucks went down, but this year he kind of came in this year knowing he was going to initiate a lot of offense. How have you seen that make him a little more comfortable when it comes to running sets?
Yeah. I mean, I thought those last 10, 11 games, whatever they were, once Brooks and Leach went down, was such a great time for him. I mean, there was so much on Nick's plate. He had to shoulder the load in so many ways, and defenses were all over, and for him to go through that stretch to play as well as he did, but also to learn from it. Okay, what are they trying to take away from me? What are some areas I could really, try to improve my game? You're seeing, he's much more comfortable shooting a face-up shot this year, from three-point land. He's much more comfortable facing the basket and going into quick drives as opposed to always just backing guys down. And he's just a more mature player. When you go through it and you're a key guy and you see what defenses are trying to do, the only way you get better is by experiencing and seeing and learning and watching film, and just been super proud and really proud of his leadership. He's done a great job kind of leading this group, being a vocal guy, because by nature that's not really been who he's been. Nick's one of these guys, he's going to run through the wall for you. But now he's in a position where he knows he's got to step up leadership-wise and be vocal, and I've been really proud of how he's emerged in that area as well. Awesome, guys. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that, we would have rather learned from winning. But as you guys can see, we think we can compete with anybody. And we've been in super close games that, haven't gone our way. And, yeah, I think it just starts here with practice, with our daily habits, things that will translate to the games.
Nick, after you had a 9-point game against Virginia, bounced back with 25-plus point games, what can you just say about how your mentality kind of has developed so that you can bounce back to such high performances after that kind of low with that?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to go through highs and lows throughout the season. You're going to have bad games, you're going to have good games, but, you always have to just trust your work and know that, you can't ever get too high or ever get too low. We always talk about it, but, truly embracing that and, being still in both scenarios, I think, yeah, it's definitely, been huge for me. As a freshman, you come in and you're so emotional, and you just have to learn to, kind of let things go and let things, in the past be in the past, and understand that you're going to have another. Basketball is great because you have another opportunity within the next 2 or 3 days. So you just come to practice with a good mentality, and then you go from there.
Pressing upon your teammates, not just the standard it takes to win games in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, I talk about it all the time. I think, it starts with, little things, like locker room habits, training room habits, all that type of stuff. The last couple of years, they've been so airtight. We've had such, good leadership, to make sure that we're doing all the things that we need to do and doing them the right way. And then in practice, not skipping reps, not, half-assing things. I think it's just, and we've been really good about that these last couple of days, and we just wanted to come together. We are such a close-knit group, but, we have to really come together when things are getting tough. And, when you're out on the court, at Wisconsin, per se, and there's thousands of fans in red yelling at you, are we going to go like this, or are we going to come together? And I think we've just done a great job this week, coming together. And, yeah, it's been great.
How have you seen that start to show up on the court?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he had a great game against Oklahoma State. You could see, he's getting really comfortable out there, playing off the catch. And as I mentioned, that's just things that I saw every day, on a daily basis. So, it's nothing new to me. He's definitely put in the work. Just getting used to this new role, this heightened role, is something that, he's embraced really well.
You played Wisconsin twice last year. What did you guys kind of take away from those games, and what have you guys been looking forward in your preparation for them tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, they're just a super well-coached team. Yeah, they were really good last year. They had Tanjay, Blackwell. They got Blackwell in winter this year. They got some guys, and they play the right way, and we're going to have to, make a lot less mistakes. And we understand that they're a very solid, fundamental team. And I think, as I said, just coming together, being as one, when we get out there and playing our butts off, like last year when we were at home especially, I thought, without Brooks, first game without Brooks, I thought we played our butts off and should have won that game, honestly, if I could make a layup. But, I think, this is such a great opportunity for us. We lost that game. We lost a close one that we thought we should have won, and we're motivated to get out there and get a win. Yeah, I mean, you got to just have motivation anytime you go step on the floor. I mean, it's just such a blessing, every game. Like, for us, the guys that were here last year know more than anyone. Brooks put in as much work as anyone, and his season was cut like this. Going out there, it doesn't matter, if it's a Lewis, a Cleveland State, a Purdue. You go out there with the same mentality every time. You never know if it's going to be your last game.
When you look at these past 4 games, all pretty close, come down the wire, how those moments are so similar, what you're going to see almost every game in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Last year, as much as I don't like to look back in the past, there were a couple games that, if we had a couple possessions go our way here and there, we could have been on the bubble for the tournament. We know that, and we know how important each and every possession is. So, yeah, I think just getting to really be out there and, understand how important every possession was, against Oklahoma State, against DePaul, in all those situations, it's definitely going to help us and prepare us.
You talked a lot about coming together, and obviously that's big with 2 transfers in the starting lineup. How have these last few close games continued to help guys like JR and AP understand what they need to do to execute properly going down the stretch?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's no doubt nobody can miss their talent. It's there. It's inevitable. They're super talented, and they're amazing kids. They're amazing individuals who work their butts off. But at the same time, being in those situations with new guys, with guys that you've never played with, is just something different, something that we haven't experienced yet. And we just, those situations they're super tense. They're high stress. And being able to come together, and it's, we talked about it, we talked about how much we care about each other and how much we care about this team, and that's really what brings the team together, caring about one another and loving the game. And I think both of those things each and every person on this team has, so I really think that we'll be able to figure it out. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I think just even him getting drafted was so surreal for all of us, because we know how much, I lived with him, me and Blake Smith, so we knew how much he was going through, every day getting back. Win or loss, you could just see, in his face, he just wanted to be out there so badly. And then for him to catch that break and get drafted and show off, what he had through the NBA draft process, yeah, I mean, it's awesome to see. And it's not like anyone's surprised. I'm not. I mean, I had to guard him for 3 years, and it sucked. So I'm not surprised at all, and I'm just super happy for him. Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of travel, but as Coach talks about all the time, I've gotten blessed with the amazing opportunity to see the fans come out for 3+ years, and it's an amazing environment. The environment it's become super special, and I'm just excited for the new guys to see it, the new guys to experience it. But I mean, we're all focused and dialed in on this first one at Wisconsin. We got to go get that one.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, fella.